Hi, welcome back to Sun Sports Chelsea YouTube channel. I'm Dan King, the Chelsea correspondent for The Sun, and I'm here to talk about the win over Pathos and the week to come, which, well, every week's a big week for Liam Rosenior as he tries to prove himself as a worthy Chelsea head coach. And I think the first thing we've got to say about the Pathos game is he got the result. It wasn't pretty. In fact, it was pretty dull for quite a lot of the game. But in the end, Moises Caicedo turned up again with an important goal. And the most important thing as far as Chelsea is concerned is they go into next week's game in Naples in 8th place in the Swiss League, the Champions League, which means if they can hold on to that spot, they will go through automatically to the last 16 of the Champions League without the need for yet another 2 games in February. That's the full stop. That's the end of that argument in terms of getting the job done. But as a lot of people have said, from Troy Deeney, Sunsport columnist, to a lot of fans on social media, so far is what we're seeing from Rosenior's Chelsea much different to what we saw from Enzo Maresca's? And, I'd say probably not. The same sort of issues are arising. We're seeing a very congested centre of the pitch against yet another team playing a back five, in this case Pathos. Chelsea are finding it very, very hard to create chances from open play. There's a lot of side to side, a lot of trying to pull teams out of defence, and Rosenior was at times against Pathos visibly frustrated by how long it was taking the ball to move. He wanted things to be done more quickly, he wanted the press to be quicker, he wanted the ball to move quicker. But in the end, Chelsea were resorting to some very unconvincing crosses into the box, which are giving poor old Liam Delap not a lot of chance to show what he could do. Now, again, Rosenior was asked afterwards, Liam Delap, is he lacking confidence? What Liam Delap is lacking a lot of the time at the moment is decent ball. When Chelsea got the ball out wide and sending in crosses, they were hitting the first man. They weren't finding Liam Delap. And when you're playing against teams who are sitting deep in a back five, it's very hard for a player like Delap to find space in behind. There was just one occasion in the first half where Chelsea put together just a little sequence of passes in which, with his back to goal, Delap laid it back. Caicedo got it, laid it into Hato for a decent chance and a decent save from the Paphos goalkeeper. But otherwise, Chelsea were finding it very hard to create those sort of chances. Familiar issue again, which didn't help Maresca in the dying days of his reign, which was there's no Cole Palmer. There's no Cole Palmer to play those sort of passes to break down defences who are sitting deep. And until Palmer is fully fit and firing, and he missed the game last night with a thigh niggle. Until that happens, Chelsea are going to struggle to unlock teams. And I think it's very early. We're only 4 games into Rosenior's reign, but he needs fairly quickly, if he's going to start winning over the fans, to show that there is progress being made. The most obvious thing we've seen so far, and it was particularly in the game against Arsenal, was trying to play out from the back. Against Paphos, did it a little bit, particularly in the first half, and there are a couple of slightly nervy moments early on, but that's still a work in progress. And one of the reasons why avoiding 2 extra games in February would be such a bonus for Rosenior is he'll have more time to try and coach his goalkeepers and players and defenders into playing out from the back. But second topic, we have to address the elephant that continues to sit in the room with Chelsea, which is Rosenior's appointment and the overall running of the club in the eyes of some fans remains an issue. Not so loud as at certain other games, particularly the first game after the departure of Maresca at Fulham, but there are still anti-Clear Lake Capital chants. There are still anti-personal chants against Bedad Agbali, and although they didn't really dominate the agenda last night, they are still there. And for the first time, really, Rosenior sort of fronted up to that issue and said, "Look, I know people are prejudging me, and I want the team behind me, I want the fans behind me and the team, but it's a two-way street, and I've got to earn that." And he's right. And that, it goes back to what we said before about showing that he is an upgrade on Maresca, or he's different to Maresca, or he's going to overcome the problems which Maresca has been having this season. But at the same time, I think the onus has also got to be on the Chelsea fans to put aside some of their antipathy towards Bluco and Egbali, and try and get behind the team. It's not an issue away from home. As with most clubs, the fans who travel up and down the country to support their team away from home tend to be the more committed, the more vociferous, and the more passionate, who will get behind the team no matter what. But Stamford Bridge, it remains a real issue. The atmosphere, you need passion, you need noise, you need Stamford Bridge to be an intimidating place to come, and at the moment it really, really isn't. And I think clearly the onus is on the players to and the head coach to give the fans something to latch onto, something to get their spirits, get their the blood pumping through their veins. But it's also on the fans. As Rossini said, it's a two-way street, and I think whatever the problems some fans have with the ownership, they're not helping the team. They're not helping themselves by not getting behind the team and giving them more support. So it will be interesting to see whether, when Chelsea do return to Stamford Bridge, whether the atmosphere does improve. And then final thing, so Pathos, job done. Last weekend against Brentford, again, not a fabulous performance, not a great leap forward from Maresca's Chelsea, but job done. But now there are two very important jobs in the next week for Rossini to get right. Sunday, away at Palace. Now, in many ways, the tone for Chelsea's season was set in that opening game of the season, the 0-0 at Stamford Bridge, where really Chelsea, despite having Cole Palmer on the pitch, just could not find a way through the very well organised Oliver Glasner team. Now, Palace, as we all know, have their own issues at the moment with Glasner, with Mark Gay now being sold. They look like a club, and the FA Cup defeat, of course. They look like a team and a club who are there for the taking. But Chelsea need to go there and do that. And this is a chance for Rossini to show that he can make some little tweaks. He can't do a revolution in the amount of time he's been in there. But can he tweak the team, tweak the personnel, and maybe some of the tactics to make sure that Chelsea on Sunday get the win that they really need to keep them right in the top 5 or top 4 hunt, but also to show that his team is evolving. So that's a big game. But even bigger, of course, next Wednesday in Naples, where he'll be coming up against one of the kind of tactical masterminds of current world football, a former Chelsea boss in Antonio Conte, also a Premier League winning boss with Chelsea, the last man to do it. And that's where Rossini, with all the people doubting his pedigree to have a job at a club like Chelsea right now, after given his limited experience in coaching, this will really be his chance to show that he's got the coaching chops, he's got the nous to get Chelsea where they need to be. Now, one advantage that Chelsea will have next week, again, as Rossini acknowledges, that Napoli are going to need to win that game to get themselves into the playoffs for the Champions League. That should mean, well, in theory means, that they've got to come out and play a bit. Now, Antonio Conte's team don't tend to be like that, and they will try to frustrate Chelsea as well. But the fact that in the end Napoli need a win should create more space for Chelsea to play. It shouldn't be a low block back 5. There should be more space for Chelsea to play. And again, that's another opportunity for Rossini to show the kind of front foot football which he says he wants to play. So 2 different challenges probably coming up. Palace, can you break down a 5-man defence? And against Napoli, can you play the kind of football which is going to win that game and seal your place in the Champions League last 16 without 2 more games in February? Big week coming, but every week is a big week for Chelsea.